Shalom and good day all, this is Tehillim29 back again for another DC Comic Dark Crisis tie-in review. And as you can see here, with this one we are covering Green Lantern, which is done by Philip Kennedy Johnson. And we've got a Hawkgirl story by Jeremy Adams. So it's going to be quite interesting doing this review, and now it's time to get started. So before we move into the first story that is in this, does this cover in any way, shape or form connect to the story and match something that is happening inside with the story, especially the first one? Sure enough it does, to which I give it a 7 out of 10. I'll now move to covering the first story, followed by the second story, and I'll be giving the ratings for both once they are completed. So as we move into the first bit, we start to see what's happening in what would be seen as the Green Lantern universe caught up through Pariah. And you can see some of the things that are happening here. Now we can't forget that these have a little reminder that the Justice League has fallen, and of course the rest of this of what is happening with the worlds without a Justice League. We finally move into the beginning of the first story, and we can even see it looks to be the character of Sinestro there, or the person who leads the Yellow Lanterns in this. So move forward a little bit more, we see a bit of a mecha version of a Green Lantern projection. The story advances until we reach John Stewart, who is wanting to live his life as per usual, and until he gets a bit of a message coming from Oa. This in turn affects his sister, or his younger sister, whilst he's there with his mother, or I think grandmother. Of course, a bit of a discussion before he heads out. And back to things returning in the area of the Green Lanterns. And of course, their big octopus in space. Until they come across a somewhat darker entity. Another fight takes place. If it's one thing that I do find that this is lacking, is time. We get to see more of the Green Lantern Corps, but of course some of these corps appear to end up breaking up of sorts, until we finally reach the end of the story. Well, for this story, I know Philip Kennedy Johnson has been working on it, but I felt like it was missing a lot. I think he did some of the family elements really well in this, but for the story rating, I'm afraid I gave it a 5.5, and some of the art as well. For the story, I gave it a 5, not a 5.5, and for the art, I gave a 5 because I felt it could have been clearer in some spaces. The cast of characters we had was Raina, John, and of course his sister. The location we had was home, and of course somewhere in space. And we got no indication of time, and that is why it sort of lost quite a bit here. Now it's time to move to the second story, which is connected to Hawkgirl, and I believe this one's done by Jeremy Adams, or I believe it is done by Jeremy Adams. And as we can see here, we've got Kendra, and she's going to the Temple of Life. And as you can see here, we've got her with her mace, and with her going into the location, moving towards the temple itself, also trying to avoid some traps. Of course, with some more things happening throughout the story. We get a bit of a look into her reincarnations as the things and people that she's met. But if it's one thing about this, if it's meant to be a world without a Justice League, even though I did give this story a slightly higher rating, wouldn't you think that she'd forget about some of these people? Not remember them? Of course, as things move forward to a relic that she's after, to eventually a fight against some of the undead, skeletons of course. And last but not least, Kendra finishing off, and we have Pariah laughing in the background. Of course, the next one that will be covered in these issues will be the one covering Wonder Woman, plus whoever else it might have in the story. So for the story, for the rating for story 2, I gave it a 7 out of 10. For the art, I gave it a 7 out of 10. The cast of characters mainly consisting of Kendra. We did also have Pariah at the end. The location that she was going to was the Temple of Life, to which she was actually seeking a bit of an end to her reincarnations. But is that her idea, or is that Pariah's idea? And it's only left to the reader to find out later on. So until then, let's keep it colourful and have yourself an awesome day.